Hi everyone and welcome to season 2015. I'm here to give you a preview of round one, and joining me is Nigel Vagana. Hi Nigel, how are you going?
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's all right. Now Nigel is a dual international. He's played for 4 clubs, Auckland, Bulldogs, Sharks and Rabbitohs, and he's also working with the Welfare and Education Department. He's been out to a few of the clubs during the off-season and pre-season chatting to the guys, so he'll have some great knowledge about how they're all going to go for this first round. So let's just talk about the opening match. We've got the Broncos and the Rabbitohs up at Suncorp Stadium. Now, Wayne Bennett back at the Broncos, he'll have a lot to prove.
Yeah, and I think their membership has swelled since he come back as well. So a lot of people are pretty excited about Wayne getting back to Brisbane. And I think, the Bunnies cleaned up in the off-season, with the Nines and the World Cup Challenge and then the end of last year. So they'll be pretty strong. But I think for mine, I'm thinking the Broncos are going to get him. I think they've got... Wayne has a knack of sort of catching teams by surprise, so I think the Broncos will get him actually.
You think he still has the magic touch? The super coach sticks with him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. He's proven over a long period of time that he's got that special something, and I think the boys want to prove themselves to him as well. So a lot of the Broncos players will be playing for positions throughout the year. So I think the Broncos to get the Bunnies on that first game.
Well, that's the Thursday night match. Moving into Friday footy, we have the Eels and Sea Eagles, and that's at Pertex Stadium. Anthony Watmoe is going to be the big one there, former Sea Eagle up against his old club.
Yeah, there is. There's a few Manly people, I guess, involved with the Eels right now. Brett Arthur used to be the assistant coach at Manly, and now he's head coach at Para. Will Hopewadi as well, who's probably going to play at fullback. And taking over Jared, So there's a lot of a grudge, I guess, happening for this game already. The season has started and these two teams are back hating each other, which is probably good for league. But I think one to watch out for is probably Chrissy Sandow. Chrissy loves the big games and he likes sneaking under the radar and stealing the show. So even though there's a lot of talk around the Manly contingent, I think Chrissy and I think Parramatta will get home.
Well, moving into Saturday, the Warriors are going to cross the Tasman for a match at Hunter Stadium against the Knights.
Yeah, big. When I was at the Warriors, and my first game at Newcastle, they put out sheep and Warriors colours before kickoff and then chased them around with the horse in the night, So pretty scary going up there from the Warriors' perspective. It's a long road trip too. You've got to fly into Sydney and then you've got to bus 3 hours up the coast. So I think with Newcastle being at home, the weather's still quite hot over here. Warriors haven't really had too much luck in Newcastle. I think the Knights will be eager to impress. Wayne's gone to Brisbane now, and Rick Stone's stepping up. So I think the boys will want to impress Rick as well to kick off their season well. Surely
Rick as well would be happy to be back in that head coaching position, because he went back to assistant for a while and now he's back in the top job.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be tough. It can be a shot to your ego. I caught up with Rick at the Nines and had a bit of a chat with him, and I know a lot of the boys are comfortable that he's taken over from Wayne. They're a lot more relaxed, and I think over the off season they've developed quite a tight group. So I think this year could be a good year for Newcastle.
All over on the Gold Coast, it'll be the Titans against the Tigers. Now, how do you think the Titans will go? Because obviously they've had some off-field distractions, but do you think round one they'll come out and put on a good show for the fans in round one?
Yeah, the boys will show up, and I think, like all players, you go out there, there's pride in performance, so I know the guys that do run out for the Titans on the weekend will do the best they can. I don't think it'll be good enough. Because of the guys that aren't available this weekend, and I've done a bit of work with the Tigers in the off season and popped in here and there. They've actually had a pre-season which has all been gluten free, So new coach Jason Taylor brought in new staff, and it's changing the mentality around there and some of the philosophies that they've been used to in the past. So I think the Tigers are preparing themselves really well for round one, and I think they'll be too strong.
Then up in Townsville, the Cowboys will take on the Roosters. What do you make of that matchup?
That'll be a pretty good one actually. I think two big packs. The Cowboys will be pretty happy. Jason Taumalola just re-signed with the club. The Warriors are chasing him, at $1 million a year. So he's not a bad little player at 21. So I think that boost would give the team just that extra bit of confidence. Paul Green, who's coaching up there, was the assistant coach with Robbo at the Roosters a couple of years ago. So he knows the Roosters probably better than any other coach in the comp. So I think if Thurston's had a break in the off season, he didn't play 4 Nations, so he's a lot fresher now. And I think at home the Cowboys will be too strong. I think they'll get him with the heat as well, and use summer while they've got it up there.
Well, out west at the foot of the mountain at Pepper Stadium, the Panthers are going to take on the Bulldogs. So what do you make of that one? The Panthers really showed that they're a contender, so if they continue that form, they'll really do well this year.
Yeah, I think the Panthers caught everyone by surprise last year and really performed well. They've built long. Like I played with Ivan at the Warriors, and I know the type of person he is. You know, and he's creating a really positive environment out there, which is awesome for everyone at Penrith. But Des is doing the same at the Bulldogs. You know, they've been ticking along nicely for the last few years. They got the Morris boys together, you know, so that adds another dimension. And I know from my days at the Dogs, when we played Penrith, they were always good battles, you know, always good battles. So I think out at Penrith, I think it's going to be another really good one. But I think the Dogs will get them. You know, I just think they've just got a little bit more X factor.
On Sunday night down in the Sutherland Shire at Ramonda Stadium, there's the Sharks taking on the Raiders. Raiders, a road trip up north for the first round.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Like you know, one of the teams I guess I played for as well was the Sharkies, and every time we played Canberra, it was always an unusual competition, you know, or contest. So I think this game's going to be no different. Ricky coming home, you know, or coming back to the Shire after his time there. They've got a couple of new players in their forward packs here. Soliola's come back from England after 5 years. Frank Pornuasella's gone down there from the Roosters, so they've stiffened up their pack a bit. And at the same time, the Sharks have got Flano back, they've got their boys back, the Asada stuff is gone. So they've had a first pre-season. I guess they could focus solely on football, and they've got Benny Barber down there as well. So I think the Sharkies will be too strong at home.
And to wrap up round one, on Monday night, we've got the Dragons take on the Storm. Now, skipper Cameron Smith still doesn't look quite fit for that match. Do you think he'll be playing in round one?
I don't know if he'll be playing. You know, Cam's a pretty tough cookie, you know, and he's showed over the years that that he can handle it, even if he does play under 100%. But I think I spent a bit of time at the Storm as well in the off season, and I've seen some of the stuff they've been doing behind the scenes, and it's been really positive. And Craig's got them ticking along really nicely. And I think they've moved away a lot from their big three, focusing on their big three. Kevin Proctor and Jesse Bromwich have really grown into players down there, so to lead their forward pack as well. So Will Chambers is down there as well, you know. So I think Melbourne are going to start off the season with a win.
Well, it's an exciting schedule to kick off the season. We'll be back in a few weeks to give you a bit of an insight into how the clubs have been going after round 4, see how they're going to fare for the season. And Nige, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem, thanks.